Good morning, everyone. It's Carol Williams with Williams Immigration. We are a boutique immigration law firm. We work with clients all over the US and internationally. And welcome back. We are back for another Monday morning edition of Beyond the Soundbite, where we talk about all things US immigration. So, the very first thing I want to talk to you about this morning is the H-1B cap. If you have not filed your H-1B cap case, you still have a little bit more time. They are all due by June 30th, so make sure that you file this week. What typically happens inside USCIS is once they reach this June 30th deadline, they will then do an internal count to make sure, or I guess to see if they have enough applications in the queue to reach their mandated 85,000 total. And we all know there's a 20,000 carve out of that for those folks that got master's degrees from within the US. But they'll do basically a count, see if they have enough, if they think they have enough to meet that mandate of 85,000. If they do, we will not have another lottery. If they do not, then we will have another lottery. So either way, one, you want to make sure that you get your application filed by June 30th. So file this week. And second, shortly after June 30th, we should know if we're going to be getting another lottery run this cap season. So cap season's almost over, maybe, potentially, if we don't have another lottery run. Next thing I wanted to talk to y'all about this morning are raids. We have seen many raids happening at farms, hotels, and restaurants. DHS apparently said that they were going to try to scale back on those since those industries were hit hard and were quite vocal about the fact that they were hit hard and they were losing their workforce. Scaling back on that lasted a very short time. So I believe last week before last, they decided they were going to resume enforcement in those specific areas. So raids on farms, hotels, and restaurants. We will see those resumed probably in the numbers that we were seeing previously. As an employer, remember that when there is a raid, part of that raid, 9 times out of 10, will also be an I-9 audit. So the government is going to want to see your I-9s. They're going to want to know what you've been doing with your workforce and who your workforce has been. So it is not just a one-time, they come, they walk around your work site, and in some cases they arrest people who they believe are here without authorization. They also do an I-9 audit. Which looks at a longer time frame of your hiring practices. So if you are not quite sure if your I-9s are in order, if you don't know what an I-9 is, or if you know that your I-9s are not in order, feel free to reach out. We are happy to help you do an internal I-9 audit and see what we see and how we can help you come into compliance with your I-9s. Next thing I want to talk about y'all about this morning is the Department of State, who oversees all of our international consulates. So the Department of State has a new policy in place that will require consular officers, so those officers that are in the consulates, they're looking at and reviewing the visa applications. It will require all consular officers to look at the social media accounts for individuals that are applying for student visas. So those are F as in Frank, M as in Mary, J as in Joker, Justice. So if you are applying for one of those student visas, F, M, or J, they will be looking at your social media accounts. They will ask for your social media handles. It is, of course, up to you if you decide to provide those. If you do not, most likely your visa will get denied. let's just tell it like it is. It will be looked at right then and there, is what our understanding of this. They will be looking at posts that contain hostility towards the United States or any potential national security threats. So people that are not pleased with this new policy are worried that visa issuance for students in particular will be very politicized, and we don't know yet, but they are concerned that it could result in a reduction of individuals coming to the US as international students. So we'll see. That's what people are sort of projecting forward. The other thing that I think we can see as a result of this new policy is looking at individual social media content is very time intensive for the officer, because it's going to have to be done at the window. If you've ever applied for a visa anywhere at a consulate, you know your time at the window is generally pretty short. So we can expect it now to be longer at the window if you're a student. And it may, this sort of increased vetting time at the window per person may result in fewer interview slots being opened and available to account for the longer time that will be needed to interview student visa applicants. If the officers are spending more time at the interview, and if the consulate now must offer fewer interview slots, that will sort of naturally lead to an increase in backlogs. I don't think that is, I think my pretty crystal ball is fairly good on that one. The other thing we're not too sure about is we're not sure if the consular officers worldwide have received guidance. We're not sure what kind of guidance they have received from headquarters in Washington. So we may see certain content flagged at one consulate that may not be flagged at another. So we may see some inconsistencies. We may see some different criteria coming out of each consulate. So we just don't know yet. We're gonna track this, keep you guys up to date on this, to the extent that we can. And we will also be keeping our eye out for processing times to see if those start to slow down and to see if we see fewer visa slots available. We'll see. We don't know yet. Speaking of our consulates, next thing I want to talk to you all about, if you are applying for a non-immigrant visa, not just a student visa, but any non-immigrant visa, HLOP, what have you, student visas, and you're filling out your DS-160, make sure that you are filling your DS-160 out and completing it and submitting it at a minimum of 2 business days before your interview. I understand that things happen, and sometimes we're moving very quickly, and we're combining a trip home to see family with getting a new visa, and previously we could do that all fairly seamlessly. But you really want to give yourself a minimum of 2 business days. I would say more than that, but 2 business days at a minimum. You also want to make sure that the confirmation number on your DS-160 matches everything that you are submitting. So make sure that you have continuity in that DS-160 confirmation number. And to throw a little more confusion into the system, some consulates are transitioning to a new appointment system. We've seen this kind of happen over the past year or so. Specifically, we're seeing Turkey and Azerbaijan are transitioning to a new appointment system. So if you go on to the system that is consulate specific and you think, oh, I'm just going to do this just like I did this, maybe 3 or 4 years ago when you got your last visa, give yourself more time. You may be dealing with a new system, so make sure that you're reading all of the prompts, following them carefully. You don't want to have your visa rejected and or denied because you are rushing through things. So just keep that in mind. The last thing I want to talk to you all about this morning is Harvard versus the White House. A Massachusetts federal judge issued a temporary restraining order, which essentially blocked what the White House was trying to do. So the White House came out with an executive order that essentially said that all consulates worldwide would not be able to issue visas for students, international students who were going to Harvard. So again, those are F as in Frank, M as in Mary, J as in Jack. Those visa categories, all student-based. So if you were applying for a student visa and you were attending Harvard, then the proclamation came down from the White House that the consulates would not issue them. Consulates were not allowed to issue them. So Harvard quickly turned around and went to federal court. The district judge, the federal judge said, no, we're going to stop this. We have a temporary restraining order, essentially blocking what the White House administration was trying to do. So that doesn't mean it's over. It just means that there's a temporary restraining order. So as of right now, those visas can be issued, but that court case still has to wind its way through the system completely. So we will follow that and keep you updated on that as well. That is all I have for Monday morning. So if you have any questions about H-1B lottery, student visas, I-9 audits, if you are rated, or even if you're not rated as a company, if you have questions about I-9s, feel free to reach out to us. We are happy to help. And again, I am Carol Williams with Williams Immigration, and have a wonderful rest of your Monday and a great rest of your